I can say right now, I know there were a couple of standouts in terms of percentages for change. However, I reviewed all the statistics this morning for the first quarter, and those numbers have dropped. I believe in my last presentation in June to the group, I've explained that sometimes files are reviewed and reclassified based on the occurrence type to more accurately reflect the actual event that took place on that particular day. If you have any specific questions with respect to the details on the 2 pages, feel free to ask. And if it's of any consequence to my research, then I can speak to it gladly.
So I'll start with Councillor Daly. You're no longer the deputy.
No.
Okay, Councillor Daly, and then we'll go to Deputy Mayor Ryan after.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. Through you to Constable Sven. That tweaked kind of a question for me when you said that. When we see these stats, they're charged, but they're not found guilty yet. Is that what you're saying in that then this could actually change this report down the road?
No. The occurrence types are just a value of, for example, at the top, I mean, the category is offenses related to death, zeros across the board, which is a very good thing. However, the numbers reflect the number of occurrences that take place, not the status of that particular event or investigation, whether it be under investigation, charges laid, or otherwise. Just the numbers itself. Yeah. You're welcome.
Deputy Ryan?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. Through you to Constable Spence. On page 11, we have 2 items actually that I was wanting to flag here, and you talked about the numbers earlier. One is under roadside suspension alcohol. I'm, the percentage is up 500%. That's a huge percentage, but I think it's, overall the number is very small. It's only, 1 compared to 6, but could you speak a little bit to that number, and are we just pulling people over more, or is that because of the new legislation that came in that allows you to, when you pull somebody over, you can automatically give them a test? Could you sort of explain
speaks
that?
to the number of, again, it's pretty self-explanatory and clear. Roadside suspensions related to alcohol. So depending on the number of traffic stops that our members conduct, and with the mandatory alcohol screening that we discussed in the my previous appearance, then yes, 5 more individuals from quarter 2024, quarter 1 of 2024 rather, were found to be above the legal limit, hence the increase in the statistics, yes.
So supplemental, Mayor Dahl. So then these are people who would have been caught, I suppose, and charged. It doesn't reflect the total number of people, obviously, that you've pulled over for possible other infractions. It's just you've pulled them over and you've given them a breathalyzer, not you personally, but you've given them a breathalyzer and they've found to be over the limit. Is that right?
If they were pulled over and they were provided an opportunity to go through the approved screening device process, as in giving a breath sample, then yes, 5 more individuals were found in quarter 1 this year than last year.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's good news to see that we're pulling people over doing this and then, and catching possible drug drivers, because you don't want them on the road, anyway. So
I agree 100% with you.
okay, thank you. And Mayor Dahl, I do have another question on another statistic, but I'll let somebody else ask any questions before that.
I would like to just ask one question, and then I would get Councillor Wilson and then go back to you. Is that fair? Very good. I noticed, and thank you very much for the letter that was addressed to my council and myself with regards to the commanding officer, Deputy Commissioner Trevor Daru. Is that how you say his name?
That's correct.
Daru, yes. He's got a very impressive background and history, and is there going to be an opportunity that he will be in the area and will be able to come to meet council?
That's possible. I can't speak to his schedule or any sort of timeline surrounding his particular date of travel, if he's going to be making rounds or not. If you wish to inquire with his office, I'm sure that they'd be able to entertain providing a response on that particular question that you have.
I was rather impressed with the Director of General National Crime Prevention and Indigenous Policing Services for the RCMP. So that would prove to be an interesting story to hear from him as well. And we'll move back now to Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. Through you to the corporal, just a quick question, page 11 at the bottom of the page, the spousal abuse. Perhaps you've touched on this or your colleagues have in the past, and I may have forgotten, but is there anything there driving that number? Are we seeing absolutely more instances or just more people coming forward perhaps than in the past? Can you share any light on that increase? I think we're at 23 right now for 2025, almost a doubling of previous years.
Definitely a significant increase from the Q1 stats from 2024. I can't speak to any particular, I guess, driving factor as to why the numbers have increased. I can't control the environments and homes or the circumstances that the particular families or domestic groups are facing. It's an unfortunate stat, but it is what it is. But no, I cannot provide any sort of specifics. I'm sorry.
Is that everything, Councillor Wilson? Okay, back to Deputy Mayor Ryan and then to Councillor Daly.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. That was actually one of the items that I was going to refer to as well. Just wanted to see if there was any kind of trend or situation happening that are, prompting more calls to your department.
Thank you. Councillor Daly?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. Through you to Corporal, I guess. Sorry about the misrank there. So I haven't seen too much in the paper lately, and I haven't heard too much about our frequent flyers that we have in our community. The amount of thefts, mischief, those types of things that are going on. Can you give us a bit of an update on that, whether we're getting a hold on that or whether they've just moved on and we're not seeing that kind of activity in our community anymore?
I'm sorry, if you can clarify in terms of media releases and or in the media, I don't understand.
Yeah, either in the media or through your reports or what have you that we used to hear about, maybe the increase in auto theft or the increase in home theft, those types of things. That is one of our priorities for the property theft. And so I was just wondering if there's any kind of improvement in that, or are we just not hearing about it right now?
Well, if you look at the first page of the statistics, with respect to break and enters, theft over $5,000, possession of stolen goods, those property type offenses, theft under $5,000, the numbers appear to have increased from Q1 of 2024. And this alludes to what I had referenced earlier in terms of my research and the numbers changing based on the classifications of certain events. The actuals for break and enters are 7 versus 8. It was 10 initially for Q1 of 2025. It's went down to 7. Theft over $5,000 is actually 2 from 3. Possession of stolen goods is actually 2 as opposed to 4. I mean, the numbers aren't great. As we discussed earlier, the percentages look worse than the numbers actually state, but those values have all been reduced. Mischief, for example, other is down to 11 from the originally reported 19 based on my research, so based on reclassification. So the numbers have actually went down, which is very positive for the community. When it comes to media releases, if it's a significant type of event, we may release that type of a release, the information surrounding it, based on the circumstances. After reviewing the information being present for the entire duration, I haven't seen any sorts of events that would have required a media release based on the nature of that particular event.
It looks like we're making progress then.
I would say so. The numbers speak for themselves, at
Yeah.
least my revised numbers and the information that I just shared with you versus what you have in front of you now.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I have one more question, but Councillor Blatz is going first.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. To you, to Corporal Svensson. What has been the uptake? Because I think the last time you were here, since then, the RCMP have initiated a Facebook page. And I just wanted to know what the community uptake was on that, and are you finding it's a benefit, or are people misusing it, as we often see with social media?
So I'm not a big peruser of Facebook. I've went on to our web or our Facebook page and I've checked. I haven't seen too much for comments, but I don't frequent Facebook very often because I'll be honest, I have better things to do with my time. However, I think it's been received in a positive way. It's showcasing the positive things that our members are doing in the community. Staff Sergeant Day, or Acting Staff Sergeant Day, is very enthusiastic about sharing our successes and the wonderful things that the members are doing in our community, as he has done in Three Hills as well as previous post. I think that I can speak for him when it comes to community engagement through a Facebook post, because I'm a little more traditional. Facebook isn't my thing, but many people are, based on the demographic or their generation. So it's a good way to showcase, again, the things that we've done with our community. And I think that you've seen too, with respect to the community engagement in the report, the municipal policing report, that our members have been out, including myself, being present in the community, being visible. I know that more often than not, when the police are involved in something, it's usually in a negative way, based on the circumstances that cause us to become involved. But these are the ways that we can showcase the great things that our members do in the community, and that, you know, they're humans, they're great people, and they love being a part of this town, as I do. We're not robots. We're not just out there to respond to calls and say arrest people and take people to jail. That's a very negative way to look at police, but there's also a very positive side to our occupation and how we serve.
Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you. I would like to say, in your report and consultations that you've done, you've got many community events that you attended. And I was very happy to see that you've attended the Mountain View County delegation as well, with the Reeve and their council. And it makes my heart happy to know that you're having conversations with them as well, so that as you serve both areas. So thank you very much, and it seems to be that you're very busy. Yep. Okay, Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. And again, through you to the corporal, just Olds currently has, as we know from past reports, a low or very low crime severity index. And so obviously going forward, we want to build on that, maintain that effectiveness, efficiency, and there's a couple ways to get there. More uniformed officers, boots on the ground, or alleviate and assist with the administrative burden that the uniformed folks have with what I'll call backroom or support services behind the scenes. Just wondering, I think you refer to them as PSEs, public service employees, civilians,
Or detachment, yes, our public service employees. They are our front counter staff or civilian complement to the office.
So I'm just wondering, going forward, and it'll be the next council that will be discussing budget and everything else, including policing, protective services. Just wondering, in the area of the civilian support service, how does that work? Remind me, educate me. How does that work in terms of sharing distribution of workload, and equally, if not more important, sharing of the costs? You know, and if the future council agrees to add hypothetically another civilian type employee, I guess at the end of the day, for me, I want to make sure that addition is 100% dedicated to the town, and the town dollars aren't going to be subsidizing activities beyond the town boundaries. So I'm just wondering, behind the scenes, how does that distribution of workload work, and how does the cost sharing work?
So you're probably aware that the funding is based on the size of the community, and there's funding shares between the government and the town itself. The way that the funding model is structured, it's based on the amount of funding, again, from the province and then from the town of Olds, based on the population base here. So we have public service employees or detachment service assistants, DSAs, with their civilian complement and the detachment. Province funds 2 right now at the current moment, and the town funds 3. So that pool of employees, 5 employees, are lumped into a group, and they service both the municipality and the rural area as well. There's no division of work, town only versus rural. They support each other, and they work on everything as a group in totality of whatever comes in. we're not able to structure it in such a way that rural funded DSAs service only rural civilians or citizens who come in with a concern or a complaint or a request. They attack it as a group based on the need. So when it comes to a delineation between the employees and how they're funded, that's not how it's structured in our detachment. So if the town did support an additional employee, a civilian employee, to come work at the detachment, or two or three, then the resources would take on their fair share of work. It would be divided up evenly or based on their role or responsibility within the detachment, their job profile, if you will, and their task bank, and they would work accordingly.
Thank you very much. C.O. Williams?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl, and Corporal Svensson, thanks so much for your time. Just on a closing comment, I just wanted to, I guess to Councilor Blatz's question, I did just pull it up that on the recently created Olds Attachment Facebook page, there's approaching 500 followers, which I'm not a Facebook connoisseur myself, but sounds pretty good for the first month or two. And also, it's important to note that for the last year and a bit, but as recently as 2 weeks ago, the RCMP detachment has been supporting our municipal enforcement folks, along with our Mountain View Power representative, to do business walks in Uptown Olds. And most recently, Acting Staff Sergeant Day, along with Constable Alex and Erica from ME and Gary Gadet from our Mountain View Power team, spent half a day walking Uptown Olds, and we've heard nothing but positive feedback on that outreach. So in addition to the social media efforts and to the boots on the ground support and kind of waving the flag and listening to our businesses, pass along our thanks for that to all the membership.
Appreciate that. And just to add to that comment, I know that the first week of school that was back in last week, we worked in conjunction with municipal enforcement to conduct enforcement at the in the school zones and around the town. And there's more planned for later this week at the college campus, based on some things that have been identified that are points of concern with the college themselves. I believe speeding is one of the key things. I was there last week. Another member was there literally last week. It's great because the high school is right there as well, so we kill two birds with one stone, so to speak, as well. But so we're planning more of those joint force operations, if you will, with municipal enforcement to just to be more visible and to be more effective while we're out and about.
That's good for our colleagues to hear from the Olds College here, Board of Governor and the president of the college. That's great.
Good timing. That wasn't planned in that such a way, but that is all truth. And I mean, whatever the concerns are of the college campus and the college staff, they're concerns of ours as well. So.
Okay, we've got one more question. Just to wrap up on that area, did your first coffee with cops go well?
As far as I know, it went very well. We had, I believe, 2 or 3 members who were present. I know Councillor Wilson was there. He mentioned that he spent a bit of time with the members there, and as far as I'm aware, it was very positive.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Ryan.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Dahl. I was just tweaked on the work that you were doing with or at the college. Do you end up just a quick question? Do you end up working with security at the college when you do that? Like, are they aware that you're going on and doing stuff there? Or how do you liaison over there?
I can't say specifically that we reach out proactively to say we're going to be here. When we have the time, based on the need, time of year, for example, school's in. We want to be visible out there and let the student bodies, both at the high school and the college campus, know that we're around, that we're present, just to make sure that they're aware, and it kind of keeps their behavior in check, hopefully, with respect to driving and perhaps other activities as well. I know that we're planning a session with some of our international students at the college. I've been in touch with Yemi and today, and we're just figuring out a time as to when to attend to have a forum with them in one of the auditoriums. We did this last year as well, just to speak about, cultural differences between their countries and ours, the expectations on behavior and rules of the road for driving, say, that may be different from where they come from, just so that they're aware and educated as to what's acceptable, what's not acceptable here. because that's very important, because obviously they don't live here all the time, and they need to be read into that, and so that they're doing the right things each and every day that they're here.
Mr. Blatz?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. Just one final comment I wanted to make, going back to when you said that you'd gone up because college has gone back in, but I think it should just be noted that college and high school went in at the same time, and I'm not sure that it would be proper of us to maybe per se, it was college students only. I think high school students also need to be cognizant of it, as aware, and I just wanted to make that comment.
Oh, absolutely. When I went there last week, I patrolled both campuses, if you will, high school and the college, because they're interconnected. I visited the high school, spoke to Principal Rice there. I know that 2 of our members went into the college the same week prior to my visit to meet with some of the college staff, I believe, and to just say, we're here again. Any concerns that need to be brought forward, please do so. So we treat everybody with the same care and attention, I guess I could say, based on the obvious factors.
Well, thank you very much. It looks like we've got some good time spent with you this afternoon, and I appreciate you coming to our council meeting. So if there's nothing further, I'd entertain a motion. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor. I make the motion that council accepts the Royal Canadian Mounted Police quarterly report as presented.
Very good. We have a motion from Councillor Wilson on the floor. I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much and have a great day.
As usual, thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day yourselves.
All right, we will be moving to page 29 now of your agenda, please, and that will be the delegation from Olds College. We'll let them figure out the order of how they'd like to speak. Welcome, Board Chair.
Well, thank you, Mayor Dahl and Council. Thank you for giving us this opportunity, and staff, of course, this opportunity to give you a little bit of an update as to our strategic plan that we have approved in the last year, and also to say thank you for your engagement in it. The 2025-2028 strategic plan is titled Deep Roots, Bold Futures. And it is an approach that we're looking back so that we can look forward. And it is that approach that we are taking, and we just, again, want to present this to you as councils. We will be doing the same thing with Mountain View County, because the relationship between the college and the town and the college and the county are paramount in where we go forward, and you will even see that in the plan. The plan is a practical and purposeful roadmap that focuses on our efforts and sets priorities and ensures we concentrate on what matters most in our students, our staff, and the agriculture industry we serve. This plan reflects months of listening, learning, engaging with faculty, staff, students, alumni, donors, industry, community, and government. As many of you are aware, I've been involved in the municipal world for many years and worked on numerous strategic plans over that time, and I have never been involved in one that has drawn such a large circle of input to build the plan for our future. At times, it was even a little uncomfortable because you always worry about special interests coming forward, but the input that we got was all for what was best for the college going forward. And to me, that was such a great process. Throughout this engagement process, one message was clear. The strength of Olds College lies in our agricultural roots. Olds College was created as a research farm in 1913. And it was there that the college was put in place to help the European farmers that were immigrating and moving to central Alberta or the Alberta area to understand what can work good farming in this area versus where they came from. And so it was designed from that and has transitioned into college as we see now. And it is still our number one focus is agriculture, and that's what built us, and that's where we see ourselves going. So the plan holds true to the vision to advance agriculture for a better world. That's our vision, and our mission is to create the next generation of agriculture leaders by developing talent, advancing knowledge, and championing stewardship and sustainability. This plan is what will guide us into the future. It's a 3-year plan, recognizing that often strat plans are a little bit longer, but we were in a very strong area of transition, so we chose to make it a 3-year plan with the acknowledgement that we can always reaffirm the plan for another period of time. But it's a plan that is, again, received tremendous amount of engagement, and we're hoping that it reflects what that engagement shows. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Debbie, and she'll walk you through the plan a little bit more and some of the stats that you may be of interest in. And then if you have questions, you can direct them to either Debbie or myself. Thank you.
Welcome, President Thompson.
Thank you, and thank you to Council for inviting us to join you today. So our new 3-year strategic plan, you will see within it 3 main priorities. The first is purposeful leadership in agriculture education. Supporting our students and our people is our second priority, and then strengthening partnerships is our third. And you will see that the priorities are very focused and achievable within our 3-year time window. The plan reflects a return to our roots in agriculture, reaffirming Olds College's identity and purpose towards agriculture, innovation, and leadership. Our faculty, our staff, and our students play a key role in bringing this high-impact strategic plan to life through collaboration, alignment, and innovation. And we believe that together we will build a stronger and more unified future for Olds College. So we've left some print copies for you, and of course, as you can see, it's available online. And once again, just want to reiterate our appreciation for your involvement and consultation in the design of our strategic plan. While we are here, we thought that you might be interested in just a few updates from the college, and I'll share a few of those quickly, and then we would welcome any comments or questions or feedback from you. So this spring, we broke ground on our $70 million W.J. Elliott, our trades building expansion and renovation. We are expecting the completion of that project in the spring of 2027. And as post-secondaries, we measure student enrollment by something we call full load equivalent, or FLEs. So that's a standardized measure we use across the province in post-secondary institutions. And really what it means is one of those represents a student that is taking a full year of study. So if you have 2 that are taking a half-time load, it would equal 1 FLE. I share that with you because I want to give you a bit of information around our statistics for this year. So in 24-25, we finished our year with 2,124 full load equivalent learners, which works out to about 3,500 unique students. In 25-26, we are expecting just over 1,700, so you will notice that that's a considerable decrease. So right now, we're seeing an increase of about 5% in our domestic students and about an 85% decrease in international students. So that's due to federal policy changes, and I think we've shared with Council before some of those impacts. But that just kind of gives you a sense of where we're sitting from a numbers perspective this year. From a program perspective, we're seeing growth in our animal health programs. We've expanded our welding facilities to offer additional seats to students and redeveloped programming to offer a new environmental science and technology program. With our trades building renovation, we will work with Alberta Apprenticeship to explore the opportunity to offer new trades programming in the future. Last year, we trained 999 dual credit students, meaning that they received high school and college credit simultaneously. And we are on track to match or exceed this for our 25-26 year. We have 625 spots in our student residence, and we currently have a small wait list of about 40 students. The Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, so that's ICA, hosted their conference on campus this year, which brought over 200 on-campus participants and about 800 online attendees from 34 countries. So we always celebrate when we can host things at the college that also have a positive economic impact for the town. We welcomed Ag Secretaries of State and House Representatives from California, Illinois, Montana, Idaho, and Ohio. From an applied research perspective, we have worked with 486 companies since 2018, and we remain in the top 15 college research institutes in Canada, often bringing those companies to our campus and to the town. And we conduct about 70 tours a year, equating to about 1,200 additional guests that visit our smart farm. So I'll leave it there, but I just wanted to share a few things as we think about the way that we can continue to collaborate and work together as the town and the college, and hopefully just shared a bit of a glimpse into our strategic plan.
Yes, thank you. It's a very colorful book too, with great information. I know that there's a survey going around right now asking municipalities what we think of immigration. I'm sure you've seen it. It's going back to Ottawa. It's from an MLA. So any questions? Do we have Deputy Mayor Ryan?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. Not necessarily a question, but a comment. And I applaud the amount of partnerships you guys put together and nurture, because certainly all of council has been to the Smart Farm, and we've all visited your Smart Ag Smart Days kind of thing over there. What I'd like to see though in the future, and if you're asking about some collaboration in the future, would be when you have some of these delegates to come, perhaps the mayor can come and give greetings from the town. I think it's a nice touch to show other communities and other visitors that were in support of the college, and the college is in support of the community. And certainly having that kind of visibility would help both of us, to put that message across. So that would be the only thing that I would comment on in the future.
I think that's an excellent suggestion and an oversight on our part, so we will certainly take that back. I am highly in favor of that, so thank you.
Yes, Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl, through you to the doctor, and thank you for the presentation. I guess I just have a general comment and then a question or 3 or 4, but maybe just one. I know there's lots going on in the arena of economic development. We have various committees, EDAC, the Economic Development Action Committee, and Invest Olds and Central Alberta First. And I assume it would probably fall under your third priority there of partnerships. But at the end of the day, and I think I've made this when we've been invited to sit in with the Board of Governors, like, I want Olds to be a center of excellence for agriculture in terms of industry. And when industry lands somewhere else, whether it's that grain crushing Parrish Heimbecker facility in Red Deer County or other things, it kind of gets the hair on the back of my neck standing up, because I'm thinking, like, why not here? And I know there's 1,000,001 reasons, but so there's my soapbox speech around, I just look forward to working the town with you folks around ECDEV, getting industry here, because that's going to be part of the future of this town from a variety of aspects and reasons. And then my question is, like, that's quite a drop in whatever you call full-time equivalent students, some 400 students. So what kind of pressure is that putting on you guys from a financial side, and what are you guys doing to mitigate some of that? Thank you.
Yeah, so just in terms of the economic development, I would just like to commend Brent on his forward-thinking and proactive approach to work with us in terms of exploring opportunities for economic development and ways, thinking creatively about ways that the college can support that, and exploring different opportunities that the college might bring for the town. So Brent has done a lot of work and works really closely with our team on that. So I'm sure that you know that as council, but I would just like to commend his work on us with that. In terms of the financial pressures, it was about a $5 to $6 million net impact in terms of tuition revenue. And so we developed our 25-26 budget. With that in mind, we are trending very close to our tuition revenue projections that we had this spring when we developed the budget, if not slightly ahead. So we took that into account. We made some fairly significant modifications in some of the activities that we were doing, and presented a balanced budget to our board for approval in the spring. And so, um, the understanding that many of those impacts affected the classroom. And so you would have seen probably in the news that we suspended intake in a number of our programs that were had heavy enrollment from our international students, as well as scaled back on some of the cohorts we offered in other programs like our business program. And so that would have been the core areas that we had to look at in terms of reducing supports and services to those.
Thanks. Also, I would like to concur on behalf of council, I'm sure as well, that C.O. Williams certainly is forward-thinking, and he has a great team behind him. So thank you for bringing that up. Councillor Blatz?
Thank you, Mayor Dolan, through you to Dr. Thompson. Going back to your student complement then, and having seen sadly a significant drop, were your students having difficulty finding housing this year?
We haven't heard that this year. Like I said, we are thrilled that we have filled our seats, our beds, if you will, in our residence. We have a very small wait list, but we're still taking students in and navigating to see if we can place them. Lots of things change at this time of year. And so, but we have not heard that students are finding it hard to find places to live. And so that is a positive, and that is, when you see the numbers drop somewhat, that I'm sure there's a direct impact.
Councillor Daly, and then back to Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Dole, and through you to President Thompson. I would just like to say congratulations on your strategic plan. I've seen a few of these over my lifetime, and I did spend some time yesterday going through it, and it's, and after board chair Kemery had mentioned about the wide circle that you brought in for input into it, and the amount of comments and so forth that you got back, that takes you back to agriculture again. And I think that is our roots, as you explained, and it is our history. And I think we got to do what we do best. And I really commend the college and their staff and both of you for putting together this document. I thought it's doable, it's easy to read, and I think it's well accomplishable as well. So best of luck to you in going forward with this. It excites me, the agriculture base. So congratulations.
Thank you, Councillor Daly.
Councillor Wilson, then back to Deputy Mayor Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. Through you to the chair. Can't let the chair escape without the spotlight here. I haven't been on the Board of Governance or Governor's website since we met, I think in spring or early summer there, but can you give us an update on vacancies within the board and what that status is? And I know you had explained then in the spring the process with the provincial government around filling those vacancies. Just wondering where that's all at now as far as vacancies. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Councillor Wilson, and can't remember exactly when it was that we talked, but since April, we've been down another board member. Board members had to resign due to conflict with work. And so we are presently, for the best guess, as of today, we're down 2 board members, which on a board of 9 is I'd like to say, significant, because we all operate much like you folks will with a committee base workload. And when you're short 2 people, you end up having extra load placed on a few board members. It is an ongoing challenge that a lot of the post-secondaries deal with, because it is a ministerial appointment, and the minister's office then has to make a recommendation to the Premier's office. And then once the PMO looks at it, then they make the recommendation to Cabinet. And then once Cabinet looks at it, they can say yay or nay to the individuals. So you can just imagine that process alone, never mind being able to get your appointments on the docket. The new minister has assured me that Miles McDougall is the new minister. He's assured me that process is coming forward, and he's hoping to facilitate our needs sometime within the next few months.
Thank you for that. Anything further, Mayor Ryan?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Dahl. I'm not sure who would be able to answer this, but when you were speaking earlier, Debbie, with regards to the foreign students and the federal government policy change, do you see any kind of change in that policy? What could mitigate some kind of change in that policy? And then is there anything that we can do as municipality to assist in trying to make that change so that you're able to get back on fitting and allow more of the foreign students? Because I know that does affect your bottom line, really. And having those students here was a nice, healthy influx, not just for yourself, but for the community. But yeah, is there anything you see change-wise going forward?
It's hard to say. I think the policy changed about 3 or 4 times in the course of about 11 months. And so really the biggest impact was towards the student eligibility for postgraduate work permits. And so students often will come with the intent to return to their home country. However, they do like to stay in Canada most often for a period of time to get work experience. And so the most significant changes were to what was still eligible for postgraduate work permits. And so students that were in business programs, hospitality and tourism programs, those sorts of programs were no longer eligible. And so those were the programs where we saw the most significant impact. Most of the feedback comes provincially. And so depending on where the provincial government is with respect to their policies and thoughts on immigration, will have an impact. And so depending on which province you live in, determined the kind of feedback that was going to a federal level. So I'll leave it there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, I'm sure that there's been all the questions that needed answered. Does administration have any questions for the college? All right, I'd entertain a motion at this point. Deputy Mayor Ryan, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move the council thank the Olds College delegation for attending and presenting their 2025 strategic plan and answering all the questions. Thank you very much.
Your beautiful brochure. I like reading that. Thank you. Take care until next time. Yep. Bye-bye. Yes, thank you very much. Now we have a motion on the floor from Deputy Mayor Ryan. I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Now we're moving down to item 4 on our agenda under business. Page 30 of your agenda, please. And this is for the Olds Aquatic Center and the sauna proposal. CAO Williams.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. And to my right, Director Lapointe is going to lead us through this one. Guy.
Good afternoon, Mayor Dahl and Council. I'll be brief today. Today, administration is presenting the Olds Aquatic Center sauna proposal for your approval. Interest in this type of project was identified through the annual budget survey earlier this year. So administration obtained a cost estimate for the proposed work. A generous community donation made in 2007 was set aside in a restricted reserve to fund a steam room or comparable project. While the steam room proved not to be cost effective, the sauna estimate falls within the current restricted reserve balance. If approved, administration will release the reserve funds, meaning no additional capital dollars will be required. Most of the installation will take place during the annual shutdown, which is actually happening right now, with project completion expected by the end of the month. And with that, I'm open to any questions you may have.
Thank you very much for sharing that information. Who would have any questions for Director Lapointe? it's been a great topic and a common topic that's been going around, so we've really had some good discussions. Deputy Mayor Ryan?
Thank you very much, Mayor Dole, and through you to Director Lapointe. Just wondering, so we have, you're looking at it, is this $79,576? Is that what is actually in the trust fund, or is that the actual cost of the sauna and the installation, of course?
That is the balance of the restricted reserve, so the estimate is below that number at this point.
Sorry, thank you. Just supplemental, Mayor Dole. Can you tell us what the estimate is?
Roughly $65,000 for the sauna itself, and then between 6 to 8 for the electrical. It wasn't finalized last week on the electrical side of things, but still fell within that 79 easily.
Thank you.
This is toward C.A. Williams and or yourself, Director Lapointe. Did we ever find out who bequeathed the dollars? Was it Alex Zeck by any chance, or could we go back that far in the records?
Good question. We have no record how the dollars were. That's not true. So we were confident it was an estate donation, but there was never a name attached to the estate. So we did check with a few people who were on the Aquatic Center committee in the early days of that, and no one can recall, but we think it could have been an anonymous donation or something we just lost track of over time. So I guess to provide a bit more context, this was originally in 2007 put towards or given to us as a steam room donation, and not too many years after that, we costed out a steam room, which is a very different mechanical function than a sauna. Those cost estimates came back closer to $250,000 to $300,000, and the project has been shelved ever since then. So, but given the changes in sauna technology, I guess, because we were more of thinking of converting an existing room to a sauna or steam room, and both of those costs were rather significant. But upon Director Lapointe taking this on and costing out a different option, which is a standalone sauna within the main pool area, that's how we got to the roughly $79,000 maximum that we're able to build this for. And so it's a bit of a divergence from the original steam room use, but I think still fits with the overall intent. And this money would really just sit there in perpetuity or could be transferred out for other purposes. But I believe it does meet the intent of that original donation.
Yes, Councillor Walsh?
Somewhere in the back of my mind, I think it was anonymous, but it's good to hear that 18 years later that new technology has made it useful. So yeah, I do believe it was anonymous.
Very blessed to have a lot of donations for the pool in those days, and I'd like to go back and read the wall again, actually. It'll probably spearhead a name. Go ahead, Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. Through you to the director, just a very basic question. Obviously, the sauna is going to have a varied user group, everything from youth, young adults, and then elderly people like myself. Just wondering, from a safety perspective, and as part of the install, are there any special concerns or considerations happening? Because we're going to have, as I say, a varied user group, and I'm assuming some hot rocks in there or something like that. Thank you.
Again, it is self-contained, so we looked at it from that perspective. The bigger concern was making sure that there was enough clearance between the sauna and the pool itself, and there's ample room for that. So I don't know if we actually went into the detail that you're talking about at this point, Councilor Wilson. We certainly could, but we thought because it was a self-contained unit, 6 to 8 people, it would sort of self-manage itself.
Thank you. Any further questions? Deputy Mayor Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. Just to further on to Councillor Wilson's concern there, you know, when you talk about perhaps young kids in there, the supervision, what will that entail? And, you know, we want to mitigate any kind of risks of not damage to the property, but damage to the individuals. So supervisory, what are we looking at?
Certainly, the lifeguard on duty will ensure that they check in regularly on the facility, just as part of their tour around the pool itself.
And just supplemental, we'll have a list of obviously instructions and everything posted, so, and use at your own risk on the list, I would hope.
Absolutely, and in fact, I believe the staff will be the only ones who can apply water as well, if I understood correctly from the procedure, so.
Thank you.
Did you need, do you wish to speak, CO Williams? Okay, very good. All right, no further questions? Entertain a motion, please. Councillor Blatz?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move that council approves the adjustment to the 2025 approved capital budget in the amount of $79,576 for a total 2025 capital budget of $6,335,641 as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Blatz. We have the motion on the floor. I will now call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. Moving down to item number 4B, page 33 of your agenda, and this is the Summer Temporary Employment Program STEP Support. CO Williams? There was a letter that came with this, but this is a good request for decision.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Dahl. So the STEP program existed roughly from 2015 into 2019 or so, and something municipalities, including the town of Olds, used quite frequently to obtain seasonal student support. It was eliminated several years ago, and we haven't been quite the same since. So even though our efforts weren't successful at the municipal level to maintain the STEP funding, which I believe was both a RMA and at the time AUMA effort, advocacy effort, the University of Calgary Student Union has done a blanket letter to a lot of municipalities, certainly in southern Alberta and central Alberta, asking for support to lobby the provincial government to reinstate the STEP program, as it had a lot of benefit for a lot of different type of local government and not-for-profit organizations, like the Students' Union as well. So it's before council today to officially approve that letter of support for Mayor Dahl to write, and as administration believes that this program worked very well during its brief life, and there certainly is a need to support seasonal labor in municipalities, as it used to stack against the still in existence federal program called Canada Summer Jobs. So we used to use both programs to offset and expand our summer student costs and labor. So any questions, happy to answer them though.
Very good. Does anyone have questions for CO Williams? Very good. I'd entertain a motion then, please. Councillor Walsh?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move that council direct the CAO to write a letter of support to Student Union of the University of Calgary in pursuit to have the Alberta government revive STEP, S-T-E-P.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. We have the motion on the floor. I will call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. It's good to hear that program coming back, right, Councillor Wilson? Okay, we now have an added item, item 4C, and I'll hand this over to CAO Williams. It will, I don't imagine we have the copy here, unless somebody printed it. The item will be land value adjustment, and I hand it over to you, CAO Williams.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I'm just going to bring up the RFD. It's disappearing on our screen here. But essentially, as I sent out late, but nevertheless sent out, there is an RFD before council today that was discussed in closed session at our last meeting regarding the former Habitat for Humanity lots that were taken back by the town in early spring. For the last 4 months, we had the property listed at $150,000 for sale and received no formal offers. That appraisal was based on discussions with our municipal property assessor and based on the assessment process. Even though it's generally accurate to a degree of plus minus 10-15%, In this case, it didn't seem to be very accurate. So administration conducted a private appraisal through a third party and came back with a figure that is more appropriate, we believe, to the actual market value. So I did send that appraisal to council, but if there's no questions on the figure itself, the recommendation is to adjust the listing price to $120,000. And a second motion, if council sees fit, to authorize the CAO to, given enough time's passed that no one submits an offer, for at least $120,000, which I could execute based on that, that authorizes CAO to advertise for and negotiate proposals like we have done for other properties, and that any final proposals will have to return to council for approval and ratification.
CEO Williams, in our little minis that we have in front of us, CEO Williams has it, it's in your mail. There is a RFD there. There, if you wish, I could read. Did you get it up? Oh, okay, it's on the screen now. No? Okay. The recommendation would read that council move to set the listing price for lots 31 and 32, block 11, plan 1711-276 at $120,000. Councillor Daly, you've had your hand up several times, and I've passed you back and forth. So would you like to read this motion? It's right here, very top of the page.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move the council to set the listing price of lots 31 and 32, block 11, plan 1711276 at $120,000. Thank you.
Does council have any questions? Councillor Wilson?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. Through you to the CAO, just to clarify. So the 120,000 is for both lots, not 120 per lot A and then lot B, correct?
Correct. We are going through a consolidation process of land titles, but it hasn't been completed yet. So 31 and 32 will be into one lot, but this motion is for both lots, essentially sold as one parcel for $120,000 asking price. And the recommendation is now on the screen. Sorry for the delay.
Any further questions? I'd entertain a motion, please. On the floor? Yes. Dan just, Councillor Daly just made it. I'm sorry. I passed that over and then I brought it back and read it myself. All right, we have a motion from Councillor Daly. Now we can, no further questions. We'll call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. Thank you for sharing that information, CEO Williams. We will move now to second. There's a second motion. There it is. This screen is long and skinny on my little computer. Okay, Deputy Mayor Ryan, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move the council authorizes the Chief Administrative Officer to advertise for and negotiate proposals on this property sale, and that all finalized proposals be brought to council for approval.
It's much better on the screen. Thank you very much.
I just read it off my phone.
Did you have a question, Councillor Wilson?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. And again, through you to the CAO. So relative to the 120K, which you said would be consolidated parcels ultimately, just want to confirm 120,000 list price, so maybe plus or minus 10% actual bid or offer. The town's not going to lose money on this property, are we? Like, there's whatever has been done with Habitat for Humanity, we would still be in a advantageous position selling at the 120 versus the 150, or even something slightly less than 120.
Yes, I believe our total costs on the property when we put the reimbursement to Habitat for remediation costs, any signage we've built so far, and the property appraisal is around $34,000 at the moment. So, and that's why, obviously, we'll list it for 120, and then if nothing happens, we still have, I think, a reasonable amount of room to advertise for proposals, and council will then obviously look at any proposals that are under said list price and weigh that with, the property tax and economic benefit that we might see through having a property, R3 property be built on this location.
With the explanation, does any other councillors have a question? Okay, now we have a motion on the floor from Deputy Mayor Ryan. I will now call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. We're moving down to item 5, please, page 34 of your agenda. This is correspondence and information. Can I get a motion on the floor, please? Councillor Walsh?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. I move that the correspondence and information report ending September 8, 2025 be received for information.
Thank you very much, Councillor Walsh. Does council have any questions? Okay, Councillor Wilson.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mayor Dahl. Just a brief, quick question to the CAO. Just on page 36, when I look at the Fortis franchise fee summary there and the trending of consumption, and I don't know if that consumption is in megawatts, kilowatt hours, or dollars, but the trend certainly is significantly downward from 2022 to 2024. Are there any compelling reasons, do we know, that are driving that reduction, decrease, decline? Thank you.
Good question. Short answer, yes, sundial. The loss of sundial in 2022, which I believe it's under large general service in the Fortis report. Their consumption peaked, I believe, around 2021 or at 31 million, I think it was, kilowatt hours. And this year it's precisely 0. So that's approximately 2/3 of our total consumption loss since 2022. Outside of that, the remaining 1/3, there's been slowdown in industrial activity across the board. Organizations have left, for example, like Weststeel. Other companies are not as active as they once were, so that consumption side certainly takes a hit. And also the drive towards efficiency, energy efficiency, green tech, a lot of grants and private equity going into improving buildings. That has an effect on that franchise bottom line, but the vast majority of our loss since 2022 has been the closure of the Sundial facility, which wasn't only a $450,000 taxation source for us, but approximately a $350,000 franchise fee between electricity and gas revenue source for us. Now, the thing with franchise fees, they are private information. Fortis and ATCO respectively will not share precise details on what individual properties consume nor pay for franchise fees. It is proprietary. So it is our best estimate, but we feel it's pretty close just based on the small amount of properties we do have in certain categories here. So hope that answered your question.
Any further questions? Very good. We have a motion on the floor from Councillor Walsh. I will now call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. We have page 46, please, item 6A, and this is the Chief Administrator Officer's Report. Go ahead, CAO Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Dahl. I have 2 weeks ago, I did present the July data for reporter problems. So the August data is on the screen. As we've been seeing throughout 2025, more and more citizens making use of our reporter problem function, which is great to see. It's even though reports and instances are rising, that is actually a good thing. We're already surpassing, by the end of August, our totals for 2024. And not surprisingly, green spaces, roads, and utilities have taken up the bulk of the issue so far. Back alleys also trending higher than usual in July and August alone, I think we projected we had about 100 millimeters extra of rain, which does a lot of unique things to a lot of the older back alleys. So in that topic in particular, we're looking to bring forward a budget 2026, a bit more of a specific action item or action plan for our back alleys improvement. And the action items list has not changed since you last saw it. A verbal report, a few things. On Friday, you may have seen a press release for the Central Alberta First, by Central Alberta First, announcing the release of the Brood strategy, which was based, if you recall, on a very broad survey of local businesses and Central Alberta businesses conducted in the latter part of 2024 into 2025. Over 700 businesses across Central Alberta participated, about 125 in the town of Olds alone. The Brood report had recommendations from housing supply to improving regional coordination to better workforce planning and other businesses supports. At the local level in Olds, we can take a lot from this report, but it also builds on the work that the ECDEV team has done and council has approved, things like the housing strategy, the commercial gap analysis from last year, our Mountain View Power initiatives like the storefront improvement program, and various things around event tourism and ongoing industry engagement, like with the Sundial facility and those owners and realtors. Following up on the Central Alberta First, if you saw October 22nd, I believe, you had Olds College. There is a AI for Business conference happening, a one-day conference, which was a direct action from the Brood survey that businesses were wanting to explore or at least understand what AI is being used for. So we have a variety of speakers and one keynote expert on this topic coming to Olds. And for council, and again, going back locally, we've talked about an economic development strategy for a number of years now for the town itself. And this Brood strategy was really one of the hallmarks of it, even though we have like the housing strategy and the gap analysis, as I mentioned. At October's Committee of the Whole meeting, myself and Sandra Blythe, our ECDEV manager, will present to council a framework for the economic development strategy for the town of Olds. This will obviously be for the next council to take on and to guide, but we believe now that we have such a broad and significant data set now that we're ready to bring to council the work that has been done and what we see as our priorities going forward to grow our economy over the next decade and more. So we look forward to presenting that in a few weeks. And most importantly, kudos to Sandra and her team, Michelle and Anne. They have done an enormous pile of work, and as well with Councillors Walsh and Daly on the EDAC committee. It's been a long climb, I'm sure, getting there, but it's great to see an idea starting from its infancy coming to something tangible in the report, but also in the intangibleness of the relationships that were built from Mountain View County to Red Deer County to the city of Red Deer, the town of Penhold, Innisfail, etc., in supporting Central Alberta and doing work that benefits all of us. So great work there. Two more things. Council will see, as you've been kept up to date, but a press release going out today regarding a property on 51st Avenue known as a Sipperley Garage. The town for the last year has been trying to work with the property owners of that garage, and after not having adequate response, we decided to initiate a bylaw process in late 2024 to try to rectify what was the unsightly nature of that building. That bylaw process turned into a court process, which we received a court judgment to enter the property in early 2025. Alberta Culture and Heritage was brought in during that process as well to assess the cultural significance of the Sipperley Garage, of which they deemed it did not fit any provincial mandated criteria for cultural significance. But upon us entering that building, which was a month or more ago now, we discovered significant structural concerns, including a collapsed roof, and asbestos and mold and all the fun things that come with abandoned commercial properties. So starting today, in fact, there is remediation happening on site. The property has been fenced. We will proceed with demolition of that property in the coming weeks, which is not a matter we take lightly. It is a very rare circumstance that the town or any municipality goes this far. It's not ideal from a property nor financial perspective to proceed this far, but we do feel the safety and integrity of the surrounding properties is at risk if we do not proceed, and with the general aesthetics of Uptown Olds as well. So a press release will go public this afternoon. Neighboring properties have been notified. We will also notify the Chamber of Commerce in Uptown Olds, so they're aware. And everything should be wrapped up in the next 30 to 45 days. And the last thing I had was a kind of a ad hoc last minute ask to council. Now that you're coming to the end of your term on the advocacy front, I believe there's outstanding item on healthcare that council should consider requesting Mayor Dahl or authorizing Mayor Dahl to write a letter to the Minister of Health requesting clarity on. The primary topic is the status of the Olds Hospital upgrade. If you recall, in 2023, it was approved for approximately $23 million in upgrades for a dialysis unit. That has not proceeded in any way, shape, or form. And from the bureaucratic side, of which I deal with in Alberta Health and whatever AHS is called now, and it's for various iterations, I cannot get an answer from anyone. Contacts I've had here have been moved along or have retired. So I believe if council can authorize Mayor Dahl to write a letter to the Minister of Health just requesting information on the hospital upgrade, it is something I believe outstanding from your term. And if council sees fit, another item that has been more in my purview, but you've been briefed on it before, is what's called the Rural Remote Northern Program. The RRNP program is essentially a top-up to family physician's salary that, depending how rural a physician practices, they get a percentage top-up to their wage they make. For example, the town of Olds, physicians that practice in the town of Olds get a 0% top-up, but physicians in the town of Didsbury get a 7% top-up, and Sundre get 11.9% top up to their salary. Now, good for them, of course, but it obviously makes it less financially incentivized for physicians to practice in Olds. It's something this council early in your term had focused on. There had been a review on that program. I participated on behalf of the town, but just like many reports at the provincial level, they have embargoed that report and will not release it. So I believe if I would like to add that to the mayor's letter. If council so chooses to ask for at least that report to be released to the public. So that would be that council authorizes the Mayor Dahl to send a letter to the health minister requesting information, and we could fill in the blanks from there if council sees fit. But that was larger than my normal report, so whether it be ECDEV, the Sipperley Garage, or healthcare, happy to take any questions you have on those or other items.
Thank you. For the Sipperley's demolition, are we incurring the total cost?
Good question. I meant to touch on that, Mayor Dahl. Thank you for reminding me. So yes, the town will pay for the asbestos remediation, environmental contamination, soil removal, and the demolition and removal. But those amounts will be charged back to the property. If they're not paid within 30 days, they'll be added to the tax roll of the property. So they will be our costs, but transferred onto the property itself.
Safety first, and that's a good answer. Thank you. Any further questions around the table? Deputy Mayor Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl, through you to the CEO Williams. Just to follow up on your question then and your answer, CEO Williams, would be the outcome if they do not pay on their tax roll. Does that go to court and then they don't pay? So what happens there?
It essentially enters the tax forfeiture process, goes on our tax arrears list after 2 years of non-payment. So even we would be holding that sum as accounts receivable for approximately 3 years until we're able to auction that property off. Yeah. So.
Great, that was gonna be my answer. A question next was that does it come into our coffers kind of thing with regards to the eventual sale of that property?
Yeah, we would become the first creditor on the sale of that property. Then we would have to pay out any liens on the property held by, let's say, banks, and then we would return any additional proceeds or leftover proceeds to the property owner.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mr. Blatz?
No, my question's been answered by CEO Williams.
You? Any further questions? Counselor Wilson?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl, through you to the CEO, and this might be a little premature and early in the process, but do we have a ballpark on what all these costs for demo and the asbestos remediation could cost, may cost, will cost? Thank you.
We believe it's going to cost approximately $175,000 for all the activities, all in.
Yeah, and it's better than being liable. Thank you. If there's no further questions for CEO Williams, I'd entertain a motion, please. Go ahead, Counselor Blatz.
You're just looking for only the first motion to see. Okay. I move that council accepts the CAO or Chief Administrative Officer report to be accepted for information.
Thank you, Counselor Blatz. I now have the motion on the floor. I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. Thank you for that report. That was very informative. All right, we're moving down.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Are you looking for a second motion as well for the mayor to direct a letter to the Minister of Preventive Health and
Correct, we are.
Yeah, yes, I think you're right, the different ministries now, and I haven't sorted out which minister is which yet, but if the catch-all could be Minister of Health for now, or the appropriate minister perhaps, that Mayor Dahl write a letter to the appropriate ministries regarding the Olds Hospital upgrades and the rural remote, or the RRNP program. My apologies, I meant to write this one down and I totally blanked on it.
Okay, well, in my research here, the ministry, it says the Minister of Primary and Preventive Health Services is still Adriana Lagrange. So that's who we'd want to direct as far as the $23 million upgrade to the hospital, correct?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure actually both would probably go to her, as primary medicine, I believe, is still under her portfolio.
Yep, it says so.
Yeah.
Primary and Preventive Health Services, so I would assume that's all the same.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
Silence is golden.
Okay, here's what I've got. So council can either add to it or correct me or change it. I move that council direct Mayor Dahl to write a letter to the Ministry of Primary and Preventive Health Services, Adriana Lagrange, regarding the status of the funding for the Olds Hospital, upgrades in dialysis, and to the rural and remote northern program regarding physician pay.
Sounds good. Any questions to the motion? I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. All right, we're moving forward now to page 48, please, item 7. This is 7A. Councillor Cummings' notice of motion proposal for the development of a bylaw to prohibit the affixing of signs to the property. Just, yeah, CA Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Dahl. Although Councillor Cummings is not here, I will definitely speak on his behalf. So this note of motion, I believe the intent around it was to just have an avenue for the town and bylaw to enforce and potentially prosecute, offensive signage on town-owned property. So with that, we looked at the land use bylaw and the community standards bylaw. We felt the community standards bylaw was already equipped with the language to deal with this matter, but to satiate the need, the real perceived need, we also added to the land use bylaw update, which, as you may know, is under review right now, the sections from 5.11 down to 5.24 that's on the screen. We believe this will cover from a legislative means everything we could reasonably do to prevent this issue or sort of to respond to this issue. We also taken into account that most of the property that probably experiences offensive graffiti or signage is not owned by the town, it's Fortis, so we did liaise with Fortis as well on this issue, and they confirmed that we have complete discretion to remove such signage from their property, so I believe the language doesn't need to be adjusted at all in either. I don't see this issue as becoming easier to enforce or prosecute, but I believe the intent again was just to provide us the avenue should we get to that point, and I believe the existing CSB and the language proposed in the land use bylaw update accomplishes that. So, happy to take any questions, but if not, the recommendation is just council accepts this report, and we will action the land use bylaw update accordingly, which is already underway.
Okay, did you want that recommended motion that was put in, Councillors Cummings? This is, it's more direct, that council direct administration to prepare a draft, and it's very base. Council can use the motion there. Councillor?
I think the recommendation on the screen that you accept the notice of motion report is all that's really needed right now.
Very good. Go ahead, Councillor Daly.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move that council accepts the notice of motion report on prohibit the affixing of signs to town property for information.
No further questions from council. Deputy Mayor Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I do actually have a question on reading the part about the graffiti, CEO Williams. The definition about means signs, symbols, whatever. I think one of the things that Councillor Cummings presented when he first brought this notice of motion to the table was hate. So a hate sign of any kind. And I'm not sure that and correct me if I'm wrong, is included in that definition of graffiti. And nor do I think that it is included in the land use bylaw under these particular items that are listed here. I think my concern would be maybe at some point to address that concern that he had in bringing this notice of motion to the table was the hate, and perhaps at some point we can look at a more direct definition of graffiti that would include the word means, of hate or any kind of abusive language, which is what his major concern was, as far as I'm as far as I got from him, was that was the concern, not the fact that somebody was going to put up a notice saying lost dog. I don't have a problem with those, and I don't think that we really need to have the development authority approving somebody putting up a sign saying lost dog or lost cat, please call. I think his position was about the hate, and if we could change or add in something in the definition on the graffiti at some point later on. Maybe the next council could do it. In the community standards bylaw that's already there, I'm fine with the whole thing. Like, I think it does address it somewhat, but I'm not sure if it addresses it all the way to what his concern was. And I can't speak to for him, but that was how I got the gist of when he brought this forward. So I don't know if you could speak to that, Sierra Williams, but maybe it could be still thought about at the administration level about how we deal with that.
Leo Williams?
Thank you, Mayor Dolan, through you. It's something we did discuss internally, and generally with local bylaws, we don't want to be seen or getting close to being discussing freedom of speech rights, for example. Like us defining what hate is not something I feel comfortable doing, certainly. So where the CSP already sits and where the LUB skirts around, because that's really not the avenue for it, it's basically prohibiting graffiti in general. So graffiti is then, it's defined in the CSP, for example, but it comes down to a matter of discretion of those enforcing it, our bylaw officers essentially, or even our park staff or public works staff who may come across it, that anything that's not authorized can be removed. So, and that's where I would generally recommend for council to stay at that broad level instead of getting into policing what types of signage or speech, even though what we're talking about, I'm sure what you and Councillor Cummings are talking about, is pretty black and white when it comes down to offensive hate or not. But I just tend to veer away from recommending any bylaws that get into defining what is, good or bad, as opposed to applying a blanket statement that it's wrong.
Fair enough. And I agree and I concur with you with regards to that particular attitude. And what's abusive or offensive to one person may not be to another. So at this point, then, would somebody, how you see sort of an enforcement of it, would be as if somebody pointed out that the sign is offensive to them and they contacted the development authority, then the development authority would have the right to step in and say, okay, let's see the sign, and then they would make the decision as to whether or not it's offensive or graffiti, falls under graffiti, and then do something to remove the sign. Is that what you're saying, how the process would then work?
Precisely. We've already given instructions to staff at various times when this was a problem a month or two ago, that if you see certain signage, just take it down. If it's a lost dog or cat, obviously leave it up. But things that Fortis generally doesn't want on their poles or we don't want on our benches, whether it be even political messaging or sales messaging, things of that nature. But in this case, we were dealing with some hateful messaging that people were taking down. So yeah, to your question, I do believe it really is just instructions to our staff to be cognizant of what doesn't belong there.
Well, thank you very much. I'm in favor of this then.
Thank you. That was good dialogue just now and good information. Anything further? We do have a motion on the floor from Councillor Daly. Seeing none, then I will then call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. And that brings us to the end of our agenda, ladies and gentlemen. We will be going into a closed session. When council goes into a closed session for continued participation in the virtual council meeting, please stay online in the live stream meeting platform, and the meeting stream will be replaced by a graphic. When the graphics are removed, that will indicate that the meeting is ready to reconvene. I would like a motion, please. I'm asking for a motion to go into close. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I make the motion that council go into closed session at 2:31 and 30 seconds. Item number 1, Access to Information Act, Section 19, disclosure harmful to business interests of a third party regarding development. And item 2, Access to Information Act, disclosure harmful to business interests of a third party. Councillor Ryan, board update.
Thank you for that, Councillor Wilson. I will then call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. We will then take a 5